Well, and I think the example that you just gave, and I think people sometimes miss this, when God called out to Adam and he said, "Where are you?" God knew where he was,
Sure
right?
he did.
So he wasn't asking
wasn't
because he
confused,
didn't know,
right.
right? He was asking because he was reminding Adam, right, of the separation that was created between him and the one that formed him,
That
right?
made him, blew his breath of life into his body.
That's right. And so I think that's where officers hit a struggle, is they hear that quiet voice constantly calling out to them, "Where are you?
Yeah.
Where are you?" And reminding them, you're getting further and further away from the one who actually chose you to do this. And you're covering that up, and you're burying yourself, and you're hiding yourself again in that nice truck, in that nice home, on the vacation. But every time you feel just a little bit more empty.
That's right.
And so I know my goal in this is that we have watched too many officers fall victim again to the pressures of this job, and is to try to give them a relief valve, some kind of a help to patch them up and get them going again. And I know for a fact that we can't do that, and that's the key, right? We're not doing that. We're not helping them. We're just simply pointing them back to the one who can.
That's what we're doing.
So we keep moving right along here, right?
Yeah, we are.
We keep growing and changing a little bit here. Wanted to acknowledge the fact that we're in a little different environment in transition with the place that we're sitting and talking about all these things. We're
Right.
trying different things. We've added the nice lights. We've got one that went out, but that's okay. We're
That's sad.
yeah. So.
We only have a red one on.
But we're
What happened to the blue one? Where'd our producer go?
we're motoring right along though, and what's important is what we're talking about here and the message that we're sharing with folks. I think we're hearing from some officers that really, if nothing else, just highlighting the help, I should say the hope that exists for them. In what seems like a hopeless situation, we're seeing officers respond to that.
Oh, big time.
One after the other of at least saying,
Exciting.
hey, there's got to be something more.
Yep, and it is exciting.
Talk more about this.
About the calling thing.
Yeah, and according to who?
Yeah, I mentioned Jeremiah, and we were talking about how God knew him from the womb and destined him. It reminded me of Winston Churchill, the great English leader during World War II. Mm-hmm. Because at 8 years old in school, he was asked, what are you going to do with your life? He had to write an essay. Mm-hmm. And he wrote that he would help that the nation, or England, would have a great calamity, and he would rise up and lead her through into victory, something along that lines. I mean, at 8 years old, he had a sense of the destiny of his life. And if you read his life story, you'll see that he fulfilled that and much more. But Joshua was a great general in the Bible. And his calling came from being appointed. Mm-hmm. Some people are appointed. They feel a sense of appointment, as though someone said, hey, I need you to do this. This is needed. Come and follow this. I remember one officer told me, he was a long-term officer, had been on 30 years, and he said, I almost had a sense, and he used this phrase, said, the Uncle Sam posters that would point and say, Uncle Sam needs you? Yeah. He said, I had a sense that a finger was pointing at me, telling me, this is what you need to do. This is going to be the course of your life. An appointment. Mm-hmm. Joshua was appointed by Moses to be the general, but he also went out and did the warfare, hands-on, in the battle, hot and heavy, And then I think of King David. one of the greatest warriors in the whole Bible. This guy was vicious. I mean, he was a great king, but he was a great warrior.
Defender, right?
Great defender, great lover of God.
Mm-hmm.
And he was tending sheep. But there was something about the fight. There was something about the injustice. The story in Samuel, in the book of Samuel, is that he shows up and the one nation is ready to go to war on one side, Israel's on the other side, and this great champion called Goliath comes out into the middle of the valley. Been to that area many times. And here's
the
David.
actual area.
Yeah, the actual area. Yeah,
So
I've been there. That's a real
It
place.
actually exists.
It
This
exists.
isn't a made-up fairy tale
No.
story, huh?
No, it exists. And here's David, and he shows up. Well, everybody else is sitting up on the hillside. A whole army, along with King Saul, sitting on the hillside. Now, they're military men. They know what to do. They know how to fight, but they're facing a challenge that they have never faced before, and everybody's frozen. Here comes David. He's like, why are you letting this guy talk like that? Why are you letting him talk against the law, against our nation? Call us names, deal with us. I'll go take care of business. So he is called by God, but he has a sense of the injustice of this challenge that is being railed against them, railed against their nation. Some officers feel the call because I remember how many of them told me they got into law enforcement after 9/11.
Right.
Because that moment of such devastation, they're like, hey,
That can't stand.
military men and officers have told me I had to go.
Yeah.
I knew in my heart that was my call. I could not let that injustice take place against our nation. I could not stand and allow other people to be wounded, hurt, and battered. I knew I had to be a part of doing something about it, being a part of a team that would do, a part of a brother that would do something about that. They answered that call. That was their moment. That was their time of call. I've been sitting with officers just asking them, hey, what did you say? What were the words that you said when you went to the academy? Almost all of them have a story to tell about that, but also it makes their face change. If they're sitting with you and they're looking kind of gruff or kind of ill or depressed or whatever, all of a sudden their face softens and changes when they start remembering that call.
Mm-hmm.
The disciples, not only were they called, but they were chosen. Now, Jesus walked by. These guys are doing a whole different career. They got fishermen, IRS agents. I mean, you got, tax collector.
Tax collector. Yeah.
You have a zealot. He's kind of a underground military guy at that time. You have all these men that Jesus walks by, and he calls them. He says, "Hey, you come follow me." Some people have law enforcement that's run throughout their whole family, right?
Right.
Their whole genealogy is filled with law enforcement officers, people who've had that deep call, but also chosen, shifted from another career. Some of you officers watching this, you just think you chose it as a career. You were doing something that seemed exciting, but we want to tell you, really, the call of God on your life is just the same as the call of anybody else, whether it's a burning bush or you felt a sense of destiny from the womb. You don't do this job without a call and survive it, period.
That's right.
You can't. The pressure, the tension, all the issues of life, the human existence doesn't have the strength to uphold and stand under that without having a deep sense of call. And even if you were in another career, but you made a shift and you started doing this great job because of that shift, this call is evident on your life.
Well,
so you got to get back to that. Hey, thanks for joining us today. Rick and I trust that you heard something that will help your life. And if you believe that it would help others, please make sure and share. Like and subscribe and hit that bell so that you can be notified when the next podcast is available. God bless you, and we'll see you soon.